We out here.
Oh, there I am stretching. You think I would have had time before to stretch, but no, I wait until we go live.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. How's it going, Keith?
Pretty good. It's Friday, you know, chilling. It's like extremely overcast in Toronto and kind of cold, 10 degrees Celsius, which I'm sure means.
Yeah, I went to get my hoodie on. Put my hoodie on just before this. And today was my first day of the winter wearing slippers. That's some exciting news. The slippers are finally out. I had to literally dust them off.
I actually can't do slippers. It's like
oh no?
No, it's like I've to me it's like fuzzy socks. Like that's like punishment. It's like in theory it's good, and then you put them on, same with slippers, and then like 45 minutes later your feet are sweaty and you're like, this is gross.
Oh no, I totally get that. They're not I wouldn't call them like they're not a solution that, you know, they're not like a sort of solution you would just have on for the rest of the day. Like I just think they're like a temporary fix, you know, just to sort of reach a good equilibrium again when it comes to temperature.
Right.
Yeah, these will be off again in a few hours, but yeah, today is the first day of slipper weather. Colin saying slipper gang in the chat.
Yeah.
Today is also the first time that we've done this stream on YouTube.
Yeah.
So this is the second Dead At Me Live. For those of you guys that missed the first one, this is where Keith and I are going to take a bit of a sideways look at the news from the week and talk a bit more casually, a bit more openly, would you say?
Yeah.
A bit more personally. Yeah.
I mean, we do these videos every week, which I'm sure a lot of you are aware of. Music a bit loud. All right, I'll cut it. We do these videos every week that I'm sure a lot of you are acclimatized to by now, which is like sort of short news pieces, sometimes not so short depending on the subject. But recently it's become, I mean, slightly unwieldy to manage all the news. And then from my perspective, as someone who's done a lot of these videos, Danny's perspective, who's done a ton of these videos, like sometimes you have these news stories that you get invested in and you're like, fuck man, like I have so many things to say about this, or like things don't make the cut, or like, you know, it's kind of hard to articulate how you feel about some things when you have to be, you know, a presenter, on-camera host, and like, you know, take people for a ride in a 6-minute YouTube video. So given that, you know, YouTube is pretty streamer friendly these days, it seemed like a natural thing to do, get some people involved, perhaps, you know, make some jokes, fuck around a little bit, and talk about the news rather than just make these sort of rigid videos. You know?
Yeah. I mean, just today I was talking to you about how there was stuff I wanted to talk about with the chess update that I felt like wouldn't fit in a normal video, right? Because there's so much information in the video I had to cover that there's not really any room for a personal opinion or a bit of you know, a bit more of a casual look at it. So that's what this is for. And absolutely. What did we talk about last week? We talked about
Carlos.
Actually,
yeah. Talked about Carlos. Talked about
chess.
Some of the chess stuff. Yeah, Magnus put out a statement like during the stream last week. Yeah, I talked about the Carlos Andrew Tate thing, some of the Valorant franchising stuff. So yeah, basically, I mean, we want to talk about some of this stuff. Maybe that's slightly more, you know, dramatic than your average YouTube news. Takes a little bit more interpretation. So.
Oh yeah. Before we dive into the topics, I just want to warn you, Keith, that there is a non-zero chance that my entire microphone setup will collapse. Yeah, basically for everyone at home watching, my microphone arm, which has served me well the past few months, just decided to give up the ghost today. In fact, I can show you. That's actually a little bit of the metal there that completely snapped off. So
yeah, Danny's been running the like $25 Amazon mic arm for
Yeah.
for the last little while. Which mine's still actually alive. My like cheap mic
Well,
arm.
that's the thing. I see. I always thought like, okay, maybe I'm doing something wrong then because like I should be able to just twist solid metal off.
Yeah,
But
you just
you know,
manhandle the shit out of this mic.
I'm not doing anything weird with it. You know, I move it around slightly. I put it back in its place when I'm done with it. I only use it maybe 2 or 3 times a week at the moment, like properly. Um, and yet the whole thing just snapped off in 6 months. So sorry, Amazon, but yeah, it didn't pass the test, I'm afraid. But what did pass the test was the new Elgato mic arm. Shout out to Elgato, great company, great guys that we worked with before, and I'm continuing to work with, and they have absolutely come to the rescue by sending me out a new arm, which should be on its way.
Yeah.
I'm like checking the mailbox like a kid at Christmas at the minute, man. It's like I'm going out there like 3 times a day just to see if this this new mic arm is there because yeah, it's desperate times. I'm not going to show you guys this because it's pretty scuffed, but like I have what I can only call a contraption.
Right.
Sort of I've woven together my busted mic arm. I've woven it together with a Yeti mic.
Right.
It just looks like a complete monstrosity. It looks like a Frankenstein of microphone arms. But it's just about holding up. But if I even touch this, it might collapse. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, honestly, it's the privilege of working on YouTube. You get to you manhandle the shit out of your microphone and then blame it on the product, and then Elgato just sends you a brand new one.
That's exactly it.
That's
yeah.
YouTube privilege.
I'm thinking of telling Elgato that I need a new couch. I need a new mattress. There's plenty of stuff that Elgato could hopefully help me out with.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Okay.
That's the mic stuff out of the way. Should we talk about some actual important news?
Sure, man. I'm down. I'm not actually that caught up on the chess stuff, to be honest with you. So I'm like in the chat for this one. I gotta get you to explain to me everything that's going on. It's kind of unwieldy, right? Like, I'm like looking at it from the outside looking in, and it's like, fuck, man. Like, kids. First he's cheating, then he's not cheating, then Magnus is like throwing a fit in public, and now we're just talking about anal beads, like he's cheating that way. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much covered the first couple of weeks there of this. So this has been going on for over a month now. We're officially past the month point on this, and I think it will go on for a long time. But yeah, I mean, for those of you that don't know, Hans Niemann, 19-year-old American grandmaster, accused of cheating in his win over Magnus Carlsen at the start of last month in the Singfield Cup. And yeah, it had been a couple of weeks of really bizarre theories about how he might have cheated. There was the whole anal beads thing. Magnus himself was quite tight-lipped about it until he put out like an official statement where he said that he feels that the Hans has been cheating. But we were yet to, have anything sort of official, particularly, or any sort of full investigation until this week when chess.com released their investigation. It was a 72-page report. I think we have a clip of it somewhere, or we can pull that up on stream. I'm kind of watching the delayed stream myself, so I have to.
If you look in Discord, you can see my screen.
This is true. I have the Discord hack. Yeah, so this was their massive report. There's a video coming out today on our channel where I dive into this whole thing. So I won't spoil that, but what I will say is that they do not.
Wait, before you go into this, can I ask you a question? Did you read all 76 pages?
I did, but not like.
Do we have to give you Do we have to pay you overtime for that?
I would say, okay, when you do a lot of these videos, I'm sure you know this, Keith, like you become very good at like just identifying what information needs to be properly read, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like there were definitely pages there where I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep going until I find something a bit more solid to work with. So yeah, that's the. I did not sit there and read it as if I would read a like a novel, let's say. But I picked out like some of the key stuff. And first of all, I think it's important to say that if you're going into this expecting this report to be like an answer to the question of whether Hans cheated versus Magnus, that's not what this is. In fact, I think they say it right there on the first page. Let me see. I'm just sort of skim reading again now on the first page here. There we go. Yeah. So on the first bullet point, it says, however, while Hans has had a record-setting and remarkable rise in rating and strength, in our view, there is a lack of concrete statistical evidence that he cheated in his game with Magnus or in any other over-the-board, i.e., in-person games.
Right.
So for the people who are diving into this report thinking, oh, that's what this is going to prove, they quite actually respectfully start out by saying, look, that's not what this is. What it is them saying with pretty strong confidence that he has cheated in well over 100 games on their site.
Right. But
now,
significantly, that is all online, I would say.
That's all online. And that is a very significant point because, not only are they saying that he definitely has cheated online, but they're saying he probably has. And also, like you say, like online is a whole different ball game to cheating over the board. Cheating online, I'm not encouraging this at all, but cheating online essentially requires you to just have an extra tab open. You're just playing on your computer, right. Throw an extra tab open up a chess engine, copy what the chess engine does. That is how easy it is for some people to cheat in chess online. Over the board, I mean, we've seen these clips actually. Let me send one clip to you. We've seen these clips coming out from recent tournaments of people being scanned with like metal detectors and stuff, patted down. It's a whole different ball game to be able to cheat in person. And
you sending me this?
Yeah, I'm gonna send this to you over Slack.
All right.
So yeah, and the interesting thing about this is how they determined that he cheated in these hundreds of games online. Obviously, the report dives into like a lot of graphs and charts and tables and stuff. Yeah, you can see here his hands waiting to be patted down. I mean, look, yeah, I know that we had the whole anal beads thing, but I mean, there's no way you're sneaking anything through here.
Everybody's checked carefully, but what was interesting,
yeah, it's just far more difficult. So for them to say that he likely cheated online does not mean that he could somehow trick physical metal detectors and whatnot.
Yeah, I think like at least for me, it's just like all it proves is that he's capable of cheating, not that he cheated.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, two things. Yeah, first of all, the way they came to a conclusion that he probably cheated is by coming up with what's called a strength score. Now, if you pull up the report again.
Okay.
Now, if you scroll down to page 9. Now, there's a paragraph in the middle there, so it says this strength.
Yeah, this strength score.
So this strength score that they come up with can show when a player is performing at a level above their actual chess strength. And on its own, our strength score is a helpful tool in successfully identifying chess at nearly every level of play. So, essentially, it looks at all the games you played in the past and comes up with the likelihood that you yourself could make any given move. Right. So if it was to look at 100 games that Keith has played, it would say, okay, Keith has just made this move in this chess game at this point.
Right.
Now, based on all the games we know of Keith, how likely is it that Keith could make that move? And if it's above a certain rating, like a certain level, they go, okay, it's statistically likely that Keith could make that move, like based on everything we know about him. The problem is when you get into strength scores that are way higher than the player should be capable of by analyzing all their previous games. There are moves that I could make that look insanely that would look insanely ridiculously good, and they might look like I'm cheating, but they wouldn't for a grandmaster, right?
Yeah.
So it's all based on your previous stuff. Now, if you scroll down this thing here, table 2, this is where it gets interesting. This is a list of anonymous GMs that have confessed to chess.com that they cheated.
Right.
Right? They've admitted they've been called out by this system, and they've admitted they've been cheating. Anything over 90 on a strength score it starts to get suspicious, right? So bear that in mind. So we've got anonymous GM and their strength score. Scroll down on the table, and bam, you see there?
Right.
Hans Niemann there.
Interesting.
So his strength score is nestled right in the middle. He's surrounded in terms of his strength score by other GMs who have actually completely confess. They've admitted that they were caught, right? So this is really at the crux of it. This is why it's quite damning for him in regards to the online stuff, because his score is unusually high, and he's surrounded on either side by GMs who have admitted that they cheated.
So here's a question. When you say admitted they cheated, do you mean admitted like in competitive matches, or just admitted that they cheated generally? Does that make sense? Like, it's like, obviously you could cheat in a, like, because I played on chess.com, you could cheat to increase your elo, which matters, of course, but like they also sometimes play like tournaments online, right?
Yeah, so they have admitted. So if you see the line just before the table, this performance, which, as Hans mentioned, confirmed was attained by cheating, was within a range of strength scores attained from chess.com reports of various GMs and their games at the time of their closures on chess.com. So what I take from that is that this data is, first of all, just chess.com games. And second of all, it sounds like chess.com closed their accounts, which means they knew they were cheating and presumably approached them with this evidence, and that's when they confessed.
Interesting. Cool. Well, I mean, so it's a very, very thorough analysis for sure.
Yeah, and we won't go into any more of the stats stuff, but it's just to give you the idea that like they have kind of done their homework here, and this stuff is supported by a lot of people in the community. Their chess detection cheating system.
Yeah. Let me just address a couple things in the chat. One thing is, for all the Overwatch heads, the plan is to talk about Overwatch just like sort of further on. We want to do the chess stuff and then talk about the new Overwatch game sort of after that. In regards to Tom Butts, great name, 10 out of 10 name. He's talking about Magnus acting like a child and like the responsibility he has. We talked about this a bit last week, and I think we talked about it a bit in videos. I actually tend to agree. I mean, you can talk about this more. Danny's going to try to get through the sort of extent of the accusation being made here, or lack of accusation by chess.com. But I don't know, Danny, what you think. But yeah, I tend to agree that while I think Magnus, someone with that big of an audience and a voice, should be defending the game against cheaters, I also think he sort of made a bunch of statements without actual evidence to point to, which is, as far as the game they played against each other, and the games he's played like in real life, which I think is it's precarious when you're like one of maybe two personalities in Hikaru and Magnus who has that kind of influence on the community. If that makes sense.
Difficult. I think the only caveat to that I would say, and it's something I've thought about the past week as well, is that in a sport where it's so difficult to categorically say whether someone cheated, right?
Right.
It's an unenviable position to be in, like Magnus's position right now.
For sure. Because
presumably he doesn't have anything concrete. He doesn't have the smoking gun to call out Hans. But then what can he do? I mean, I imagine that there are perhaps Colton's watching, he can explain this, but I imagine that there are proper channels if you think that your opponent is cheating. There are proper channels and investigations and systems to go through. But perhaps the issue here is that they're just not up to the job. Perhaps the issue is that people like Magnus and other high-level players just don't feel like they're doing a good enough job of outing these cheaters, which do seem to be a bit more prevalent than people thought.
For sure, yeah.
So I just think I on the one hand I totally agree. I think that the way he did it was not the best, and I think he should be aware that his name carries so much weight that even just sending out a tweet like that could wreck someone's career forever.
Exactly.
But on the other hand, I think that more needs to be done to accommodate serious accusations so that people don't have to go public and do snidey little tweets and stuff like that, right? So they feel confident in the system.
I think Colton makes a good point here too, is like there's this whole like sort of underbelly to this situation where like would Magnus be as sort of vitriolic if this guy wasn't like known for talking shit and being like kind of a snide, like young up and coming guy, right? Because that's like, I guess Hans's MO before this was like, like he's like willing to talk shit, and he's not necessarily like your traditional buttoned up like chess player. So, I mean, obviously Magnus made a point of calling him out, and we'll never know like what the actual motivation was, but yeah, no, it's interesting. And I mean, especially I find that the caveat to this all being that like Hans is like willing to cheat, because it seems like he's cheated online, but like we still don't know if he did cheat in real life, which is like there's just so much. It's like such a razor's edge of like who you're supposed to side with at that point,
Yeah, and it's the reason why this drama I don't think will ever end. I think it will take a back seat eventually, as everything in the news tends to, but it can never really reach an end unless something absolutely categorical comes out that backs up Magnus's original accusation. Before we don't want to spend too much time on this. We've got other things we want to get into talking about. There are two quick things I want to show. First of all, if we can just pull up Hans's interview, his statement after his win. So he's been playing this week in the in the US.
You have this in here?
It's just called Hans statement post win. This one up here.
Oh, okay, so. Do you want me to just play it?
Yeah, well, let me just explain first. So Hans is currently playing in the US Chess Championship.
Look at this guy. What a fucking unit, man. Look at him. like this he just like it's like it's all a bit, man. Like it's like I don't know if he's a fucking cheater or not. He certainly seems like he's cheated online, but it's almost like it's like a social construct. Like he's like trying to turn himself into some kind of like weird Joker archetype villain, where he's like fucking pulled up in this floral shirt and like is insane. He has the same hair I had in grade 8 at my graduation. I don't know if I can pull. I'll see if I can pull that up. But yeah, he has the same hair I had in grade 8 during graduation, and he's just like leaning in so hard to being the villain. I fucking love it, even though he might be a cheater.
Well, what I will say, this is not a value judgment on him as a person. What I will say is he does seem extremely cool throughout all of this. Like we cover a lot of esports, right? And the amount of times where I see esports pros being interviewed, and it's not particularly, in my opinion, an intense moment or an intense interview, but they're just so nervous. They can barely get their words out. Esports is quite notorious for that compared to like traditional sports. Right. So diving into the world of chess, I sort of expected it to be a similar thing, but seeing people like Hans, I mean, he's just so chill. Yeah. He's so chill, and he's literally got the entire world staring at his every move, right?
Right.
He never just seems to look upset or worked up. I don't know, like he just looks like he's just sort of he's rocked up to his local chess tournament every day. And instead the entire world is either accusing him or watching his every move. So I find that quite interesting. I think he's an interesting character, regardless of which way you swing on this.
Okay, Danny, can you hold on? Can you go over to the screen for a sec, to the stream? What do you think of this?
I'm on a delay, remember, but oh damn. Holy shit.
Dude, he's got the same name.
Damn. That's mad. That is you. Holy shit.
So fucking funny.
That's crazy. Dude, you should go as Hans for Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You can actually pull that off.
Just busting
That's
out the
amazing.
Hans Demon look. If people would actually recognize me, I'd be down. But
I actually think if you bought a floral shirt, wore a blazer, and just tried to get your hair like you had when you were a kid, it would be a great one. Yeah, be like, yeah, I'm Hans Niemann.
it's my grade 8. It's my grade 8 graduation.
That's dope. That's crazy.
All right, let's play the clip.
Yeah. So basically, just really quickly, so while all this stuff has been going on this week and people have been looking at the report, Hans is just, doing his thing, playing in the 2022 US Chess Championships. So on Wednesday, he took down a guy called Christopher Yu in round 1. And this was his interview. We just want to go from the very start of it. Yeah. Talk about being as cool as a cucumber. Well, again, not saying he's in the right or wrong here, but just
I think that
this was a real statement from him.
Tell us a bit about that.
Well, I think that this game is a message to everyone, and this entire thing started with me saying chess speaks for itself, and I think that this game spoke for itself and showed the chess player that I am, and it also showed that I'm not going to back down, and I'm going to play my best chess here, regardless of the pressure that I'm under, and that's all I have to say about this game, and chess speaks for itself. That's all I can say.
Let's discuss the game a little bit.
That's it, but you can leave it to interpretation. But thank you.
That's it. All
yes.
you want to say.
That's all I'd like
today.
to say. Yes, because
Okay,
it was such a beautiful game. I don't even need to describe it.
Thank you.
Let's go.
What? That's it?
Sick. God, what a fucking badass.
Yeah.
Look at this guy's smile too. Look at this.
Yeah, I know, right? Bit of an icon. That should be could be a reaction, like an emoji in our Slack. Yeah. And the very last two things I want to wrap up with, if we just throw up those tweets. For me, these really sort of sum up some things are probably better than I can, which isn't the best side, but they really sort of summed it up for me. The first one is from a guy called Gert van der Velde, who is the CEO of Chessable. And he says, let's recap. Hans cheated online as a teenager. Magnus lost a game around 2.5 years later to him. Magnus then accused Hans publicly of cheating now. Magnus has provided no evidence for this. Chess.com published a report on Hans cheating 2.5 years ago. So he's kind of laid it out in a way that makes this whole thing look quite silly, right? Because both Magnus...
it's slightly reductive, but definitely silly.
It definitely is reductive, but it cuts away a lot of the bullshit as well, for me. And just boils it down to its bare facts, We've got a guy who cheated as a teenager. Chess.com have essentially published a report saying that, yes, he cheated as a teenager. Now, Hans admitted to this, but nowhere near as much as Chess.com are pushing for. Mm-hmm. And we've got a guy who's accused him of cheating, but has provided no evidence so far. Now, he might have very good reasons for that, but that's just the way it is. And I like this tweet. It just sort of, this has been going on for a month now. There's so many different things you can get caught up with. And it's just good to have a quick recap that just reminds everyone, like, look, these are the hard facts when it comes down to it. So
there's another one, right?
There's one more tweet, from a guy called Jonathan Rowson, I'm not sure. Apologies. Bit more poetic, this one. Hans both cheated and didn't cheat. He lied and he didn't lie. He's been fairly treated and unfairly treated. He has himself to blame and others to blame. Such is life. We're in the world of both and either or now. Time to get used to it. I quite like that because that also shows a nuance to this as well. You know, people seem to think it's about taking one side or the other as if it's a chess match, but it really feels like it's far more nuanced than that.
Yeah, I mean, like, also just like even just to relate this to some more things, like, I mean, there's literally 100 stories of people who cheated in esports titles when they were 10 or 11 or whatever, and went on to become some of the most like legit players, some of the best players in the world. I mean, I think everybody who's done anything competitively has had these experiences. Like there was like 2 years of my life where I was playing like competitive Magic: The Gathering, like traveling all over North America playing in tournaments, and like one of the most notorious subjects in those circles is always like, oh, this person's a cheater, this person's a cheater, or this person did cheat. And I would say like one of the most frequent narratives is this person cheated when they were a kid and doesn't cheat anymore. Like it's just it's kind of hard to hold people accountable to the things they did when they were that young. Like you could look no further than the criminal justice system to find examples of why we don't hold people accountable for what they do when they're like 13 years old. Now, I understand that this is obviously a, what would you call it? Like a luxury hobby, or like, it's not life or death. It's not the same thing as breaking the law or not breaking the law, because obviously playing chess competitively is like a privilege. But at the same time, man, like, I don't know. I could see being a kid and goofing off, like I could see being a kid and just being like, isn't it so funny to cheat? And then becoming like this good. And I mean, I think he deserves at least until it's proven that he's cheated in front of a table. Now, also, he can't be cheating online anymore. Like if it comes out that like 2 weeks from now, he's cheating online still, I mean, then he's just being a fucking troll. Like I don't give a shit about that. But like at least until somebody proves a day after this saga started, that Hans Niemann is still cheating in digital tournaments, and someone can prove that he cheated over the table, like, I think we have to give him the benefit of the doubt. As he said, chess speaks for itself, or whatever.
Chess speaks for itself. That's my next tattoo. What about you?
Yeah, right on the oh, stick it in like in one of these gaps. Chess speaks for itself.
Yeah, or maybe on the five knuckles chess. And the other one speaks for itself. I think that's a good point you raised about the age thing, and that's something that I've noticed as well, is that quite often when there's any kind of scandal, we're not talking about just cheating here, there's any sort of scandal online or in popular culture, people say, I was young and it was a long time ago. And normally those things go hand in hand. Normally we're talking about people that, sort of late 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever it is, whatever scandal comes up, they can say both of those things. Say, look, I was a kid, I was a minor, and it was a long time ago. But that's not the case with Hans, right? We can say he was a minor, but it was only 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, which one of those is more important? Which one of those do we pin all of this to?
Yeah, that's a good point, because like, you could say he was an idiot, or like he's a kid and he's an idiot, but he's still a kid and an idiot. You know what I mean? Like it's like
Yeah. I mean, this stuff, the most recent, to put it in perspective, the most recent examples that chess.com are claiming that in that table they had are from after the pandemic started, from months after the pandemic. So for any of you guys watching that are trying to get your head around a time frame for this, they're suggesting that he was cheating in prize money tournaments after the pandemic hit, that sort of time frame. Again, and that instant, when you put it like that, you go, oh, that's ridiculous, that's insane, like, he should be punished, whatever, blah, blah. And then you go, yeah, but he was actually a minor then, he was genuinely not even close to being 18 right at the time. So
this guy can't buy beer. He's cheating in
no,
international chess.
And this is the thing, if this had come out in 10 years from now, that he was cheating in 2020, right? People might say, look, he was a minor, and it was 10 years ago, but it wasn't. It was 2.5 years ago. So anyway, but listen, there's a video coming out where I dive more into this later on today. So keep an eye out, guys, for the Don't At Me. But I think we've done some good chess chat today. Don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling like at least up to date with what's going on. I still don't know how. What do you think? You think he cheated over the table or no?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
No.
I think that's where I'm leaning as well. I think if I had to, if I was like gun to my head, like, did this guy cheat against Magnus or not? I think I would say no.
The only time during all of this where I thought he did was at the very, very start, because my initial reaction about hearing like a world champion quit a tournament, was that he must have something absolutely categorical that we don't,
Right.
that we're not privy to. That was the only time. But the more that this has gone on, and the more we haven't heard anything concrete, yeah.
Cool.
No, I think it's very important to split this story into the two stories that it deserves to be split into. Like
Right.
it really is online and over the board, and people shouldn't get those mixed up. Over the board, no, I don't think he did. Online, much more likely. I would say it's more likely than not now. After reading this report, I would say it's more likely than not that he has cheated online more than he has admitted to.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that's as far as I can go, really, with that.
Okay. Well, I think the next thing we're going to talk about is I feel like I sort of have to set this up a little bit because, look, oh, no problem, Tom. Glad you enjoyed the chess. We'll probably do a little bit more talking about it because it doesn't seem like this shit's gonna end anytime soon. He sounds like Kermit the Frog. Yeah, I fucking know, Alex. I sound like Kermit the Frog. I look like I'm stoned, etc. I've been doing YouTube videos long enough to know all the comments. People are freaked out by my eyebrows. They say they're like caterpillars, some shit like that. It's a whole saga. But
He does very tough skin. Very tough.
Let me tell you that it's not easy being green. I have a heart.
Damn. Get some rips in the chat for that.
Yes, I am single. Thank you, Alex. I love you too. Do people call you Chapstick? Marijuana is not illegal where I live. Actually, I look single. Thank you.
Keith, you just got to move on to the story when they're getting baited in.
No, that's fine. Marijuana is legal. I live in Toronto, and that's where theScore is. So yeah, it's legal. Brow comments, yeah, they're good. Actually, they're probably my favorite ones. Some bong rips, but actually no. I mean, obviously it's legal here, so I can talk about it. But I don't actually smoke weed, even though our whole chat thinks that we do. That I do. People do call me chapstick, although it's probably the most unoriginal thing. It's just way too easy. Like I just can't believe it. Will we cover more MTG stuff? I mean, it's kind of. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting because like obviously I love Magic. It's like the whole reason I'm in. It's the whole reason I work in esports. But yeah, I did make fun of Tom. I didn't make fun of your name. I said it was fucking dope. It's tough because Magic doesn't do a bunch of I mean they kind of can the whole esports experiment rightfully. So I mean it'd be cool to cover some Magic stuff. I've actually pitched some ideas about like sort of longer form like sort of maybe story of Magic or like pro Magic, competitive Magic, some sort of like deep dive. But it's a big project. It's a big project. So those, I mean, I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with the sort of process of all of this, but it does take those bigger videos, the story ofs and the the offbeats and that sort of thing. It's like they're big projects that take a long time. So trying to decide what we should do and shouldn't do is a whole process. But maybe one day we'll do some Magic stuff. All right.
I just have to answer God's Brew or God's Boo in the chat, or I think it's God's SBU perhaps. Who's saying that I sound like True Geordie? Do you know who True Geordie is?
No.
He's just a very famous YouTuber from the UK who does a lot of football stuff.
Right. Do you sound like him?
No, not at all. This guy.
You just think because you're British, you sound like all British people?
This is the thing, yeah. I don't want to presume, but I'm going to presume this person has only ever heard like 7 British people ever, because this guy's accent is wild compared to me. He's from Newcastle, which I don't know if anyone in the chat is familiar with the Geordie accent, but like, no, it's. Can we just pull up a clip of this guy just so I can set the record straight?
What's his name?
True Geordie.
True Geordie.
Yeah, he has a football show called The Kickoff. Let's sell this once and for all, guys. You sound exactly like him. Okay, we'll see. We'll see.
It's called the kickoff. Okay, let's get this going here. Queue up display.
Well, I watched Arsenal. It was more of the same of what we've been seeing.
Is that him?
Hang on, I'm listening now.
Not just this season,
Yeah,
but this
that's him, the
calendar
big guy with
year.
the
I
beard.
remember when I watched us play against yous.
Yeah, not even close. Literally not even close.
Right? Like, it's not the same accent.
Yeah, you got struck out on that one.
Yeah.
I'm all for giving Danny the gears about shit, but I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Well, someone said I sound like Monty Python, which I think is a slight improvement, although
Yeah.
Monty Python is a group of 6 people, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I'll take that.
True. Yeah, I mean they are both British. Bad example. That was a bad example. Fuck off.
No.
Okay,
You get one chance, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Yeah, let me set this up because I don't want to sound like a hater, but I kind of want to talk about this. So, Nadeshot made an energy drink, which you know. I truly don't give a fuck at all, to be honest with you, about the drink. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not an energy drink guy. I drink coffee. I know, like, a lot of esports people, they drink a Monster a day or whatever. I truly don't care. Like, I think it's cool to make things, for sure. I think Nadeshot's cool, and I think a lot of the things he's done are cool. Like, to me, like, an energy drink with a new name called Juvie, which is a strange name, doesn't particularly move any needles for me. But I guess sort of what I want to talk about is the fallout of this or the reaction to it, because I mean, for the sake of the show, guys, like, what we're trying to do is I'm trying to bring Danny some, like, news items, and we want to just sort of chat through them. And my thing is, like, I think if Nadeshot's energy drink is tasty, like, cool. It's 5 calories, which I'm down for. I hate sugar. So go off, sick. He made an energy drink. He says it's like his dream, which I think is a little odd, because, like, whose dream is it to make an energy drink? That's what Slime responded to his tweet with, which I think is at least a little bit funny.
He said childhood or something.
Yeah, he said a dream come true for a kid from a small town in
Kid.
Chicago, and it's like,
Yeah.
I just don't really, I don't totally get that. But what I will say is, like, it seems like every esports news outlet covered this as though it was, like, breaking news. Like, it's just like, there's just, like, tweets and articles, like esports.gg saying, like Nadeshot clearly knows how to make a killer brand. Like, it's like they entered a new esport. Like, it's like 100 Thieves decided they were gonna, like, buy a spot in Overwatch the way this shit was covered. Like, Dixerto is, like, writing articles about, like, how to buy Juvie. And I just don't fucking understand. Like, I get that Nadeshot's famous, and, like, he should be famous because he's cool and he does cool shit. Like, go off, man. But, like, I just truly cannot for the life of me understand, like, treating, like just writing these PR pieces and, like, puffing this up the way that it seems like they are. I don't know. I kind of want to get your perspective on this, because, I mean, obviously we literally cover esports news for a living. And, I mean, congratulations to Nadeshot for all this extra coverage, because that's fucking dope for him. But, like, I don't know. We were actually, funnily enough, talking about this before the stream. But, you know, it's like, it just seems so unnatural to me to give this, like, extreme reaction to this brand that's just kind of amorphous and brand new, and the name means nothing. And it's like, guys, we like Nadeshot. He has a lot of followers. Like, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about it?
Yeah, the first thing I thought was that this sets such a weird precedent. I know this probably isn't the first time that something like this has happened before, but it does feel like, okay, what if Nadeshot brought out a toaster in a few months? What if he brought out, a water bottle or a nice pair of slippers? We were talking about slippers earlier, right? What if Nadeshot brought out 100 Thieves slippers? Like, where's the cutoff here? Is it because energy drinks are cool? Is it because energy drinks are like somehow associated more with esports? Like, why this product over any other thing that you would see in a merch store or anything else that anyone's trying to flog you? That's what I find weird, is that this is only newsworthy if we cover every time an esports person or an org brings out any physical product.
Yeah.
Like, and again, I think it must go back to energy drinks and esports being so heavily associated with each other.
I think there's someone in the chat says, what do you say? It's a drink. Who cares? It's not like he's trying to sell blue light protection cream. No, I fucking agree. Like, it's like, my point, I guess, it's not like, I don't think anyone should, I don't think it's not like a Nadeshot thing. Like, it's completely normal for like 100 Thieves to merchandise. Like, and if anything, that's like a totally good thing for esports, that esports organizations can start making products, because, I mean, these companies need to make money, and a good way to make money is to have products to sell. So go off to 100 Thieves and Nadeshot and Tarek, who's obviously involved as a brand representative or whatever. Like, I don't give a shit about Nadeshot. It's like, go, like, I think it's dope. But like you're saying, he's not peddling anything, illegitimate, like I assume you're referring to the Valkyrie blue light cream thing. What I don't understand is acting like this is some sort of massive gaming news. It doesn't sit right with me, I guess.
Especially the paragraph in the article where it's like explaining how you can buy it.
Yeah.
That felt very, very pushy.
Like, it's almost like it's paid media, which, I mean, obviously I don't know, and I'm not accusing anyone of doing that. It's not even really that bad, but it just doesn't sit the best with me.
I wonder, you know how, like, just before we were doing that thing where we thought, okay, what if we swap out different products, and does it still come across as weird? Does it still feel weird to do this? I wonder if you swap out the person, right? Because I sometimes feel like if someone like XQC brought out an energy drink, my gut actually feels like that is kind of like more newsworthy, just in the sense that anything XQC does seems to be newsworthy. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like that would seem quite strange that XQC's brought out an energy. Like, if XQC brought out an energy drink called Juicer, right? Now, we would cover that. Maybe not like a full long form donut.
Someone trademark that right now.
Yeah. I should.
Someone trademark that immediately. The Juice by XQC.
And so I wonder if that's the thing. I wonder if I'm just trying to figure out where this line is. When does it stop? When does it start feeling weird? Is it the product? Is it the person? Because I agree, something feels really odd here, and it wouldn't feel odd with other people, and it wouldn't feel odd if it was another product, perhaps. But something just feels odd with this. Yeah.
My question to you, here's a question. Since you brought up XQC, is do you think if XQC dropped an energy drink like this, would it be received negatively? Because from my perspective, like, someone brought up caffeine pills, right? Which ostensibly is the same as an energy drink. Like, it's a way to ingest caffeine. But, I mean, pills are obviously, there's a ton of negativity, so rightfully a ton of negativity associated with taking pills, especially in esports. And so, like, for me, what I'm interested in is, like, energy drinks are like, they're healthy in small dosages, but even if it was the same, 5 grams or 5 calories, no sugar, 128 grams of caffeine or whatever that Nadeshot put out, if XQC did it, are we entering an era of, like, XQC is peddling like a new thing to his young audience, whereas, like, it's so crystal clear and clean when Nadeshot does it? Like, it's almost like, I feel like there might be like a double standard when it comes to, in this case, like, XQC doing something like that. Now, I'm not saying XQC has never peddled something that he shouldn't be, But what I'm saying is like, I don't necessarily think energy drinks are the greatest thing to be trying to sell to a large audience, and I also think XQC might get a little bit of shit if it was actually him putting out the energy drink.
Yeah. No, I mean specifically XQC would. Yeah, he does feel like he's under a lot more scrutiny than most people online when it comes to what he promotes. And listen, we're a part of that as well. We've definitely put him under the microscope when it comes to that. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it's this. Without veering off into like full-blown Marxism, I guess this is sort of like weird, just subliminal trust we have of companies doing it. Something with a shiny company with a shining CEO holding up a bottle in a very polished ad feels inherently more trustworthy or even just like right than some dude in his bedroom on a webcam.
With, like on a 480p webcam with McDonald's bags surrounding him.
Something feels. But
I sort of feel like that's like it's almost like the opposite. Well, it's almost the point is that like, look, I'm not saying that Nadeshot is doing anything illegitimate. All I'm saying is like, to Leon's point in the chat, like, the jury is out on energy drinks broadly. Like, to me, it's just like it's like a fucking bottle of chemicals, right? Now, I'm sure they can be more natural and all whatever, right? I'm not a monster purist. I don't really have much skin in the game of like should you or shouldn't you be drinking energy drinks. What I don't like is that like, oh, it's so crystal clear and bells and whistles and frills and like put a gold star on it when Nadeshot smiles and says, "We made an energy drink," and I just think it's a little bit more complicated than that. And I think it's the job of it's the job of the media. It's the job of people like us to be critical of situations like this. And when like a press release gets put out and you're like, okay, I guess we're writing an article about this energy drink. It's like, are we actually doing any sort of reasonable job as the media? Like, are we addressing this with a critical eye in the way that we should? I don't know. Maybe I'm on a high horse, but I could be wrong.
No, I think that's a good point in the sense that it's not just about the coverage. It's about what the coverage involves. Because I think the article that you just pulled up there, it felt like it was. It felt like it. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying there is anything critical to say about something like this, but it feels like there just needs to be something more other than just sort of talking about how it was someone's dream and telling people where to buy it.
Yeah.
I agree. Like, I don't know, but listen, because the thing is, we started on this whole conversation by saying like, look, it's fine, obviously, that someone has brought out an energy drink, right? It's fine, whoever it is.
I don't have a problem.
Yeah, because I can see, we've got someone in the chat just said earlier, Tyler said, all I'm hearing is PC greater than console without directly saying it. As an ex-pro / org owner, an ex-COD pro / org owner makes quite literally the most sense out of anyone to have his own energy drink. I think like I just want to revisit where we were before, because I don't think anyone's saying that like it's the worst in the world or it doesn't make sense or it's wrong or he shouldn't do it or any of that. I think the reason we originally brought this up was just the sort of infatuation that the media had with this, to the point of it all feeling like one giant orchestrated advertisement for
It's just so the fandom of it. It sort of like just boggles my mind, because I mean I like Nadeshot as much as the next person. I literally watch Tarek every day, but just because they like breathe on something doesn't mean like I'm gonna lose my mind over it. That's all.
Yeah, Colton's saying maybe it's an SEO thing.
Could be.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the next move. SEO. Yeah.
All right, you want to talk Overwatch 2? I know there's some people in the chat that were like sort of clamoring about Overwatch 2 earlier. I don't know, Danny. Are you an Overwatch guy? We never really talked about this, but
I would say I'm an Overwatch ally. I would put that in my Twitter bio. Okay. Overwatch ally.
Overwatch ally.
Yeah, I don't play Overwatch. I think I might have played. Yeah, I played a little bit of Overwatch originally when it first came out. I mean, listen, like, it looks great. We brought a video about it. We brought out a video the other day about it. Josh played a bunch of it. He had pretty high reviews of it, pretty glowing review. He did say it didn't feel like the game that that people were expecting after 3 years of waiting. But I mean, what was there, especially the new game mode? Josh was talking a lot about that. But what was there seems pretty good. And I'm not gonna lie, like as someone who didn't fully catch the boat with the first Overwatch,
Right.
this does make you want to play it. And the only real downside I've heard about is the battle pass system.
Right.
Right, having to grind and essentially pay to sort of grind and get these.
Like the skins and stuff.
Yeah. But even unlock some of the characters I heard as well.
Right. I heard the same thing. I don't know. Does anybody in the chat have any strong Overwatch 2 opinions? Sounds like shoot Farkin. Overwatch 2 is so much better. So much better, eh? Interesting.
Why is that? Let's hear some reasons.
Like it's from what I can tell, it seems like there's upgrades, but it seems like basically the same game. Play for like 10 hours. Okay, so I mean, you don't need to pay for the new character battle pass. Yeah, you can grind for sure. 5v5. I think that's my biggest thing. Is I think 5v5 is huge. Danny, I know you didn't play a ton of Overwatch, but basically, from my perspective, one of the biggest problems with Overwatch as a game is that basically tanks and supports were too good. Like you can crowd control was so good in the game that many of the competitive matches and as you got up the ranks, you end up in this situation where it's like your whole team sits behind shields, like Reinhardt shield, Brigitte shield, Orisa shield, and you guys fight until one team generates more ults than the other team, and then they all ult at the same time, and they basically steamroll the competition. You get to the next point, then you do it again. And it's like, it's an entire game built around ult economies, and particularly some of the more influential ults, like Nano and like the Zarya Grav. So what they've done is they've made the game 5v5 now, and they've made a new game mode that I think is a little bit less balanced around the ult economy. And I think what's happening is you get to play the game, I think the way it was more intended, which is like they have all these cool agents, particularly DPS agents, that you can actually, or I guess they're heroes, you can actually like have some fun. If that makes sense.
It sounds like it's giving everyone a bit more breathing room.
Yeah. You generally only have you only have one tank, so there's less shields just by sheer volume, and there is a lot more, room for finesse rather than like you just snowball from the beginning, if that makes sense.
Yeah, a bit more comeback potential. I think that can only be a good thing. It's one of those things, right? Because it feels really good to get an early lead in a game where getting an early lead is massive. It feels so rewarding to be like, oh, I can now relax. But that's not really healthy. That's not really good for the person who's got the lead. You don't want the most intense part of the game to come at the start. Mm-hmm. It's good to sort of keep people on their toes, keep people feeling sharp, even when they're in the lead, because the opponent could make a comeback. So yeah, I mean, again, as someone who hasn't actually played Overwatch 2 yet, this all sounds like good stuff. One thing I did want to talk about, perhaps once we finish up talking about the game a bit more, is just how much this feels like this is the one last shot to get this right with Overwatch.
Yeah.
And for Blizzard in general, this could have like big impacts on their future when it comes to this genre or
I mean
their presence.
It's interesting, right? Because you know, for context, I mean, we're sort of making jokes about this last night because I was talking about playing this game, and you know, the other guys on staff were saying like, oh, Keith's like actually gonna play a video game, which is, I mean, a bit of a meme, but like I'm certainly not the biggest, like, you know, I log off every single day and play esports kind of guy, but Overwatch, when it first came out, it certainly captured my attention, and I think they did a lot with the sort of character building, like you know, just how cool all the characters look, how cool the character design is, and how well they told the story to really like get you to want to play, right? Like it's like, you know, more so than any game, I think of Overwatch and I'm like, oh, I want to be a Winston main. Rather than, like it's like the appeal to Valorant for me is like not to play Jett. It's that you know, TAC FPS is dope, and you know, it's got a cool competitive scene. Whereas like the idea with Overwatch to me is like, oh, like I want to play these cool characters that, you know, like do these awesome things. Like they're literally this Genji just being badass as hell.
You said something quite interesting as well, which was that it makes you want to become a main.
Yeah, exactly. Something. Yeah. You like watch the game and you're like, oh, I want to be a Winston main. Like that's exactly how I feel when I play this game. I go, I want to play Winston. Like it's like I want to. It's like you identify with the characters a little bit because they're so well designed, right? And that's why I think what you're talking about, where this last shot at Overwatch 2, which is, I mean, it's a reskin, right? Like it's not like there's some people in the chat saying like if you played a lot of Overwatch, you could feel the difference, and I agree. Like there's very clearly a lot of like functional changes to the game, but it is like a reskin. And so like, yeah, it does really feel like a last shot, and that's kind of scary to me because I think the game is amazing. Like I want the game to be good so fucking badly because it's like the coolest game. Like it's so dope. It's exactly to me what I think of when I think of esports. Like I think of like cool characters, cool abilities, fucking awesome maps, like cinematics, like all this personality built into one game. And because of this like comedy of errors of Blizzard being a fucking disaster, Overwatch League being a fucking disaster, and then the game having these like horrible goats and dive metas, we're like stuck in this world where it's like, god damn, can you just make Overwatch work? Everyone just wants Overwatch to fucking work.
Yeah, it works amazingly well on paper, you know.
Yeah.
Overwatch. I would say the one thing that I really liked about Overwatch originally was the Overwatch League, and how teams and orgs had like home cities, right? There was people are going to tell me in the chat right now. I think it was the London Spitfires, was it?
Yeah.
Like for me, that's my biggest irritation about esports, and this is definitely a me problem, right? But my biggest irritation has always been people don't have like real loyalty to like teams in the way they do in sports. Right. And I bored everyone at work to tears about this before, but like people just I feel people are so fickle in esports, right? And they just, you know, you attach yourself to one player, two players, you follow them for a few years, a couple of different teams, you get bored of them, you move on to another thing. And there isn't this sort of like dynasty of like, you support someone and then you get your friends to support them, and then perhaps in 10, 20 years, maybe your kids will support them, and you know what I mean? And then building up these really, really solid fan bases for a long time, that traditional sports tend to have, especially, you know, I come from like England, like a big football background, and I just love the passion that people attach themselves to these teams. Mainly because of geography, right? People support these teams no matter what league they're in. They don't care if they're in League 7 or League 1. It's just that they're that local team. And Overwatch recognizing that and saying, look, we're not going to have these like centralized, you know, sort of teams that are just, you know, all 7 of them, where are they from? Oh, they're all LA. Cool. Okay. So I've got to pick one then. Like there's no sort of real reason. And again, that's fine. And I want to preface this by saying, esports is different. It's not traditional sports, and it's okay to support a team for a reason other than them being geographically close to you. You know, I mean, I don't support a European team in League. I support TSM, and even though they're a long way away from where I'm from, so I get that side of things. But I just thought it was so cool that Overwatch allowed you to look at a map, be like, dope, that team is not too far from me in the world. You know, I can get behind them in the same way that I can get behind my local football team, basketball team, hockey team, baseball, whatever it is. And it was just the first time I'd ever seen that in a professional esports league. I thought it was cool. Still think it's cool.
It's definitely
That's my biggest
cool.
props to Overwatch.
Yeah, it's definitely cool, and it definitely didn't work. Which is like,
no, yeah,
I think that's like the caveat, and also probably the interesting part of the conversation is like, can it ever work, and why didn't it work? Or sort of what is what it is to me.
From what I heard, the idea was that you had teams from like the London Spitfires, whatever, flying off to like Chicago or LA to play games.
Literally Seoul, Korea, I think. Like they had like Chinese and Korean teams as well.
Yeah, so I mean that's a huge red flag because the reason these geographical local teams work in other sports is because they're playing against other local teams in a local league. That's just the obvious solution there. So yeah, I mean, I'm saying that as someone who doesn't know exactly why, but I would suspect that's a pretty big reason why your local team is struggling when they had to play games in Korea and San Francisco and all over the shop.
This Junker Queen is jacked. Holy fuck!
Pretty ripped.
Just completely shredded. Not skipping.
Pretty
abs.
iconic names as well.
Literally never skipping abs.
Yeah, that's mad.
No, I mean, I agree with you. That's cool. I sort of have this feeling that esports fans just don't care. Like, I know that sounds. I don't want that to sound as reductive as it does, but that's how it feels to me. It feels like esports fans just like they don't necessarily. Not all of them, but like sort of like broadly speaking, don't identify like regionally, I guess, in the same way. Like we do the EU versus NA shit all the time, but it's like it just seems like people are more interested in like what the teams are, who the players are, and like how they play than necessarily where they are or what they look like, that sort of thing. I don't know. It's just like I was there, like I worked at theScore when Overwatch League was first starting, and I think there's a lot of energy about the fact that these games are going to be played on a real stage, and you had this whole geolocated situation, and I think we just started to learn that like, and you're really starting to see it in across all esports is that everyone's just sort of waiting for the international events. Like it's like what people want is to not know who the best team in NA is; they want to know who the best team in the world is. Or at least that's like the perspective that I'm starting to gather it, because it's like, we're starting to feel like, in League of Legends, we're waiting for MSI and we're waiting for Worlds, and, Dota's always been about TI, and, even Valorant, right? Like, it's like, obviously there's a lot of excitement around NA and a lot of viewership around NA, but, increasingly we're starting to know all the international names and all the international teams, and then it's like, oh, well, like, who's actually legit, right? Like, so, I don't know. It's definitely different in that way.
Yeah, I would say that in esports, it feels like there's a fine balance that needs to be struck because, I think ultimately people do want to constantly see, okay, who's the best in the world, who's the best in the world. But if you're holding these events like too often, then it sort of devalues them inherently. It's not that, let's say you had like six events where you could categorically say, okay, this event proves who's the best team at the moment. Each individual event just doesn't seem as exciting in that sense. Like there's a lot of complaints about how League, for example, doesn't have enough international events, and I hear that and I agree with it. But at the same time, like Worlds has such an excitement around it for that very reason. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So and again, what you were saying before about the geographical situation. I agree as well, and I think that for me, I'm trying to like shoehorn something onto esports that it's just not there. I think part of the thing that makes esports great in its own way is just how decentralized it is, just how people can make these attachments to teams and regions and leagues wherever they are in the world. people like that, right? I just think that people would get more attached to teams. I do think people get more attached to teams if there was something other than this team is playing quite well for these 3 months. Like that feels like such a fickle thing.
No, I know, yeah. I think it also ropes into the business of it too, because it's like, you know, you're trying to grow. Like, you know, people meme on this like phase thing all the time, right? Like where they went public and then their stock fell and all this kind of shit, right? But I mean, like if your whole business is winning, esports is like that's a tough place to grow in, because like you're just not going to win forever. Games change so fast. The players are so young. Like everything changes constantly. Like how are you ever going to keep up in a marketplace where you're like, oh, we have to win, or we're not going to make any money, or we're not going to grow, right? It's just yeah. I mean, it's basically untenable, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I think I just have this rose-tinted view, man, of like,
just like
someone's
cheering,
someone's
songs
sitting
about Team Solo Mid.
Well, someone's sitting there, yeah, someone's sitting their grandkid on their knee and like sort of, you know, 60, 70 years, and, you know, and being like, look, let me tell you about this is the reason we're a Fnatic fan, or this is the reason we're, you know, Paper Rex, or, you know, whatever it is. Yeah, and I just think esports has suffered a lot. Maybe not suffered, but it's kind of looked down upon in other areas of sports and entertainment, because people feel like maybe it's a bubble, or it lacks any sort of real staying power or permanence. And what we're talking about, for me and my experience, and my own life experience, feels like a good route to creating that, and sort of creating, making sure esports lasts beyond, like you said, just who's winning at the moment or what the hottest game is. You know, making fans really attach themselves to, rebind themselves, I think is the word I want to use, bind themselves to teams. In a way that I don't see at the minute.
Yeah, I actually want to point out a couple things Tom is saying in chat. The first one is, even if you do win all the time, people will move to a different game. Like, that's definitely true as well. I think it's a good point, and it's almost like impossible to fix that, given that, you know, this is a genre of entertainment, not like traditional sports, where we're not just coming up with new traditional sports all the time. So, but we are coming up with new esports all the time, because these tech companies obviously want to make money. So there's going to be always new esports. So that's one problem. And then he says, look, I watch CSGO tournaments with my 5-year-old boy. That is, I think, an exception to the rule. Like, I think, like, holy man, I think CSGO is so fucking cool. And it's so weird, because, I mean, I'm not a CS head. In fact, like, I don't even have it downloaded on my computer. I like it from, like, a strictly, like, content creation perspective. My job is to facilitate the creation of YouTube videos for the most part, and like CSGO, it's just like the coolest stories, and it has so much history, and the tournaments are so fucking hype. Like, you just can't help but watch them, even if you don't play the game and you don't have interest in playing the game. And to what your point is, Tom, when you're watching it with your kid, there does feel like there's some amount of that lineage in Counter-Strike, where people have been playing it for so long that there's actually sort of a generation passover that's happening. And in some cases, like, you know, what they talk about all the time with like French CS and Danish CS, there are like sort of like actually bordered styles of play. And, you know, during the Astralis era, people would always talk about sort of how much love that country had for those players, and, you know, that them meeting with the prime minister or whatever and stuff like that. So I just think we are seeing that a little bit in Counter-Strike. It's just a matter of like, is that actually replicable in other games, or does Counter-Strike have some sort of like, you know, firm grasp on that lineage? And if it is replicable, what do you have to do to make your game like Counter-Strike?
Yeah, and the answer might not be this hard like geo locked thing that we're talking about before, right? I'm not saying that's the answer at all, and clearly it didn't work with Overwatch, but my gut would be, and this might be incredibly reductive, but like my gut would be, the reason CSGO seems to have done a better job at that is because, like you say, it has such an overwhelmingly large European fan base, and they have just pasted on how they interact with traditional sports, how their families interact with traditional sports, how they interact with, their rivalry with the village over the next hill, and their hatred of the next town that they've had for the last millennia, right? There's stuff that just gets passed on, and for better or worse. And I think there's a lot of bad stuff that goes along with that, obviously, as well. But they've just gone, okay, CS:GO, cool. We'll just behave exactly how we've done over the past 1,000 years, and pasted it onto this brand new esport for them. That would be my gut feeling on that. Whereas I think in other parts of the world, it's a bit more liberal, a bit more decentralized, a bit more, you're sort of free to support who you want, and no pressure, right? There's absolutely no pressure. Like, you can support whoever you want. No one's gonna sing a song at you for who you support, right? But then the problem is that without that kind of pressure or that attachment, then one bad loss streak and you see fans just leaving, and then I feel like that does, like I say, affect the permanence of any given esport.
For sure, yeah.
I do just want to say we did a little bit of breaking news last week. Just seen here, sources are saying that Bjergsen is out of Team Liquid and is now a free agent. This is League of Legends. Don't really have too much to say at the minute about that, but thought I'd get the clip in of us reacting to it.
So Bjergsen's out?
Out Team Liquid, yeah, he's off Team Liquid. So this was the super team that was formed a couple of years ago with Hans Summer, Core JJ, Bwipo, and Santorin, if my memory serves me. And they're just not done as well as everyone thought. To put it simply, it's a tale as old as time, really. Super team gets formed, underperforms, starts to fall apart. Now, apparently, what I've heard over the last few months is that him and Core JJ, who's the support for Team Liquid, just didn't see eye to eye. Core JJ is arguably one of the most valuable and respected players in NA history. The South Korean who's won Worlds before, right? Incredibly.
Who lost your cam?
My cam. Oh, damn. 1 second.
We lose battery? What's going on?
It's definitely a battery issue, yeah.
GG.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Dan.
There I am.
He's back.
Should be back now.
Okay.
Apparently, yeah. So apparently Bjergsen and Core JJ didn't see eye to eye, not personally, but in how they play the game.
Right.
Just from watching their styles, Core JJ very proactive. Bjergsen a lot more conservative in his play, and I imagine they're both quite strong voices and shot callers, and you never want more than one strong voice or shot caller, I feel like, in a team, or if you do, it has to be very delicately done. So yeah,
Bjergsen's
there you go, bit of breaking news. Bjergsen out. I've already seen people posting pictures of him in a TSM shirt saying he's coming home, so I can get behind that. I'm pretty stoked that happens. But
I think we're sort of reaching the end of the news we have, but I have a shameless plug I need to do for the boys in the chat right now.
A shameless plug.
We're going full cam for this. So
just you.
Yeah, just me. Sorry, your kit. I'll be right back.
We got a BRB situation.
All right.
The suspense.
Hello, chat.
The suspense.
In case you don't know, we made clothes. It's not juvie. We didn't make an energy drink. We made clothes. So we got after about a year of work, we made some clothes. We got esports tees. We got the Keeb tee. We got the sort of crown jewel embroidered touch grass hoodie. I mean, these have been selling a lot. We're really stoked on it. Obviously, I'm wearing a crew neck now that says esports. We're trying to make stuff that's cool and subtle and that you guys will actually want to buy and be interested in, and isn't just like, kind of shitty branded merch. We had everyone in the chat or in the office a few weeks ago doing some photo shoots. We got me looking stoic here, tattoos going off as usual.
That's who's going off.
so-
This guy.
Yeah, hit shop.thescore.com to buy some merch if you guys like it. If not, you don't have to buy it. But yeah, myself and like a team of people here worked really hard on this. So yeah, I mean, if you guys are looking for it, I mean, it's first of all, it's about to be hoodie season, also cuffing season, also cozy season, and we got a lot of sweats, comfy shit, good quality, actually good quality that you can buy. So yeah, hit it up. I think you get 10% off your first order currently, which is huge.
Oh, that's pretty big.
Yeah, pretty big.
Yeah, touch grass has definitely been the most popular one so far, I will say.
It's good to remind yourself every now and then, That's an added benefit. It's a side plot of touch grass hoodie is that you'll never forget to go outside.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you can forget that,
Yeah, it's facts.
especially in the industry we work in. But yeah, no, check it out, guys. I will say as well, I hate to sound like the boring old person at the party, but the quality of these products is really good as well. I have bought a lot of crap merch in my life that barely survives the washing machine. And stuff fades, stuff shrinks, stuff falls apart, stretches, tears. I've already worn a lot of this merch over the past few weeks, months, and it holds up well. It's good quality stuff, and it looks cool,
Yeah, look how good Danny looks. Look at him.
Oh, do you know what? This was such a rough day. It was so humid that day in Toronto, and my hair was just like, peace. My hair was like, see you in a bit. I'll see you tomorrow, yeah. And it just failed to perform that day. I was also sweating so much because we were sort of wearing these hoodies. And I think it was like pushing 30 degrees that day. Not trying to complain, just saying that's how it was. It's a tough life being a model.
Yeah.
Not everyone gets to experience that though. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad that we had the likes of Liz there and Dimitri who modeled it far better than I think I ever could.
Expert modeling. And then we have the king himself, William
Magooba,
who actually goes by Magoo, our design lead, who none of you
Go
on
on.
the channel have ever seen in real life, but is integral to all of the design that goes on the channel.
Please go follow him, Magoof
On Twitter.
on Twitter. Yeah,
I go follow him.
check him out.
All right. I think that's good. That's it for us. Please make a Chess Speaks for Itself shirt. Oh my God, that's a great idea.
Oh my God! Oh, I was gonna say we can't put hands on the thing, but I'd almost want to do. Okay, you know what I want to do, Keith?
Yeah.
There's like really like what's it called? Not simplistic, but like sort of like
Minimal.
reduction, minimal art. Yeah, that's the phrase I'm looking for. Minimal art. So it's just a floral shirt.
Yeah.
Like your shirt is just like has a little icon. It's like a floral shirt, blue blazer, and then like some trousers, like blue, like basically just his normal suit that he was wearing a lot of.
Yeah.
And it just says Chess Speaks for Itself.
That's
Funny.
Yeah.
I do. I buy that.
So good. How am I doing? I'm terrific, honestly. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my entire life. That's not even a lie. No, yeah, things are great. Doing a thing. Making esports videos. Making merch. Got some new stuff coming for you. We're gonna be doing some live streams. One thing I will say, we want to do more of this. We want to keep doing, news live every week. We're gonna do more streams. You guys should keep your eyes out. Dimitri's doing hot retakes on Monday, which is like a CS news stream, gameplay stream, Q&A kind of situation. On Wednesdays, we're doing a Valorant show. Dimitri and Liz are doing Valorant and talking Valorant, probably playing some Valorant. They'll definitely, I think, have some guests on as well. So I think that's a big thing that we'll be doing every week. And then we're trying to do these Don't At Me news streams on Friday. So make sure to check us out. And if you guys have any feedback, if you hate me and you want to let everyone at theScore know that Keith should be taken off camera for good, or if you love me and you want me to be on camera every day, just let us know. Because we're gonna keep doing this live stuff and see how it goes. So yeah.
Good.
I don't know
That's
about
good.
you, dog, but I'm done. I'm gonna go to a happy hour and get a beer.
He absolutely speed run that outro. I didn't even get a word in. Just like, yeah, thanks for checking us out, guys. It's great to be streaming on YouTube as well. It feels like we've sort of come home in a way. And yeah, we're gonna try and find more topics to talk about as well over the next week or so. More ways. I want to involve our chat more. I really enjoyed talking to everyone today. I thought we had some good conversations. And yeah, this is just the start. This is just the beginning. We're going to keep working on this, keep evolving. And who knows? Maybe we'll just eventually go live for an entire day. Maybe I'll be sat here just constantly talking about the news all day, 24 hours.
24 hours a day, Danny.
That's the ultimate goal.
24-hour Danny news stream. Just like
I'm just like sleeping on stream and then like
by the end, trying to catch your voice.
I'm like asleep on stream and then like Twitter alerts will wake me up. Like people can send me like news stories and I'll wake up and react to them. Okay. That was fun. Thank you guys and have a lovely weekend. Yeah.
Peace.
See ya.